Once upon a time, in a land where rivers sang like flutes and mountains wore crowns of silver snow, there was a valley named Evergreen. Evergreen Valley was unlike any other place in the kingdom. Its grass glowed faintly in the moonlight. Its trees whispered secrets when the wind blew. And every child in the valley believed that the stars above were alive, watching over them. In a small cottage at the edge of the valley lived a boy named Aris. Aris was 12 years old. He had hair as black as raven's wings. His eyes carried the green shimmer of forest leaves. He was known throughout Evergreen for his curious heart. His grandmother, Mira, often said, "Aris, you were born with too many questions." But Aris would only smile and say, "Then I will find too many answers." Aris's parents were wanderers who traveled far beyond the valley. They traded herbs, spices, and rare stones. So Aris lived mostly with his grandmother. Mira was a weaver of tales. Every evening she lit a lantern made of old brass and crystal. Then she would tell stories about ancient guardians, hidden treasures, and enchanted forests. But there was one story she never finished. It was about the lantern of Evergreen Valley. Mira would always pause midway and say, "Not tonight, little one. Some stories are too heavy for young ears." That made Aris more curious than ever. One crisp autumn night, Aris was wandering near the riverbank. The moonlight painted the stones silver. The water carried reflections of stars. Suddenly, he noticed something glowing under the surface. He leaned closer. It wasn't a fish, nor a trick of light. It was a shard of glass. No, not glass, but crystal. Aris picked it up. The shard pulsed faintly like a heartbeat. Warmth spread through his palm. He gasped. "What are you?" he whispered. A voice, soft as the rustle of leaves, answered inside his mind, "I'm a piece of the lantern." Aris almost dropped it. But he held on tight. The lantern? The one from grandmother's stories? The shard pulsed again. "Yes. Find the rest. Restore me. Save the valley." His heart pounded. He had always believed Mira's stories were just bedtime tales. But here he was, holding proof. He ran back to the cottage, clutching the shard. Mira was waiting by the fire. Her eyes widened when she saw the crystal. "Where did you get that?" she demanded. Aris told her everything. Mira grew silent. "At last," she said, "the time has come." She pulled an old wooden chest from beneath her bed. From it, she lifted a map, yellow with age. She spread it across the table. "This valley," she said, pointing at the drawings, "was once protected by a great lantern. It held the light of harmony." "Light of harmony?" Aris echoed. "Yes. A flame gifted by the stars themselves. It kept Evergreen safe from darkness. But long ago, the lantern shattered. Its pieces scattered across mountains, forests, and caves." Aris's eyes shone. "And I found one piece." Mira nodded gravely. "If the lantern is not restored before the shadow season, the valley will wither." Aris swallowed hard. "Then I'll find the pieces." Mira hesitated. It is a dangerous journey. But Aris's determination burned brighter than fear. That night, he packed a small satchel, bread, dried fruit, a flask of water, and the shard. Mira gave him a silver whistle. "Blow this if you are in true peril," she said. "Will it summon help?" Aris asked. "In its own way," she replied cryptically. At dawn, Aris set out. His first destination was the Whispering Forest. According to the map, a piece of the lantern rested deep within. The forest was alive with sounds, chirps, rustles, even faint laughter. Aris felt as if the trees were watching him. Suddenly, a voice rang out. "Halt! Who enters our forest?" Aris froze. From the shadows stepped a girl about his age. She had wild, curly hair and eyes like amber. She held a wooden staff. I'm Aris," he stammered. "I'm looking for something." The girl studied him. "I'm Leora, guardian apprentice of the Whispering Forest." "Guardian apprentice?" Aris repeated. "Yes. My duty is to protect this land from intruders." "But you carry star crystal." She pointed at the shard. Aris nodded. "I need to find the lantern pieces." Leora tilted her head. "Perhaps you are telling the truth. The forest has been waiting for one like you." Before Aris could ask what she meant, the ground trembled. From the bushes slithered a shadowy creature with glowing red eyes. Its body was made of smoke. "A shade!" Leora cried. The creature lunged. Aris stumbled back. Leora struck the ground with her staff. A burst of light flared, scattering the shade. But it reformed quickly. "Only the lantern's crystal can harm it," she shouted. Aris clutched the shard. He thrust it forward. The shard blazed with silver fire. The shade screeched and dissolved into mist. Silence fell. Aris panted, trembling. Leora lowered her staff. "You truly are chosen," she said softly. She agreed to guide him deeper into the forest. They walked for hours. Strange birds with feathers like jewels sang above. Mushrooms glowed along the path. Finally, they reached a clearing with a crystal tree. Its branches sparkled as if woven from glass. At its roots lay another shard. Aris bent down and lifted it. It pulsed warmly, fusing with the first shard in his pouch. A faint hum filled the air. "Two pieces united," Leora whispered. That night, they camped under the crystal tree. Aris told her about Mira, about the valley, about his quest. Leora told him she had never left the forest. But she wanted to see the world beyond. "Then come with me," Aris said eagerly. Leora smiled. "Yes. I will." The next morning, they continued their journey. Their path led them toward the echoing caves. The caves were said to hold voices of the past. As they entered, their footsteps echoed like drums. Whispers curled around them. Turn back," the voices hissed. Aris shivered. But Leora squeezed his hand. "They cannot harm us if we stay strong." Deeper inside, they found glowing crystals along the walls. At the center of the cavern floated another shard. But it was guarded by a giant stone sentinel. Its eyes blazed like molten rock. It raised its arm to strike. Aris and Leora dodged. The sentinel's fist smashed into the ground. Rocks flew everywhere. "How do we fight it?" Aris shouted. "Look for its heart," Leora yelled back. Aris noticed a crack in its chest, glowing faintly. He drew out the shards. Their combined light shone brightly. He aimed at the crack. A beam of silver light shot forth. The sentinel roared and crumbled into dust. The shard floated gently into Aris's hands. 3 pieces now glimmered together. The cavern's whispers fell silent. A calm stillness replaced them. Eris felt stronger, braver. "We are getting closer," he said. Leora grinned. But the hardest trials are yet to come. Their next destination was the Silver Peaks, mountains that touched the clouds. The climb was harsh. Winds howled like wolves. Snow blinded their eyes. But together they pressed on. Along the way, they met a traveler named Kale. He was older, perhaps 16. His cloak was patched, his boots worn. But his eyes were sharp with wisdom. "You're searching for the lantern shards, aren't you?" he asked. Eris and Leora exchanged wary glances. "How do you know?" Eris asked. Kale smiled faintly. "Because I once searched for them too." He pulled a shard from his satchel. "But I never found the courage to continue. Take this. It belongs to you now." Eris accepted it with awe. For shards pulsed together. "Come with us," Leora urged Kale. He hesitated. Then nodded. "Perhaps it is time I finish what I began." And so their party grew. Together, they braved avalanches, crossed icy bridges, and fended off shadow wolves. Finally, at the mountain's summit, they found another shard frozen in ice. Kale struck it with his blade. The ice shattered. Eris caught the shard. 5 pieces glimmered brightly. The lantern's form was slowly taking shape. But darkness was also growing stronger. Shadows gathered at the valley's edges. Mira, watching from her cottage, lit candles and prayed. She feared the children would not return in time. Meanwhile, Eris and his friends journeyed to the desert of echoing sands. The desert was endless. Sun burned their skin. Mirage after mirage taunted them. But they pressed on. At the desert's heart stood an ancient ruin. Within lay another shard, glowing faintly. But it was guarded by a serpent of sand. Its scales glittered like gold. Its hiss rattled the air. Kale drew his sword. Leora raised her staff. Eris clutched the shards. The serpent struck like lightning. They dodged narrowly. Sand exploded around them. "Use the shards!" Leora cried. Eris thrust them forward. Light burst forth. The serpent writhed, dissolving into dust. The shard rolled into Eris's hands. 6 pieces now pulsed as one. Only one remained. And it lay in the Valley of Shadows. They reached it as twilight fell. The valley was dark, silent, and cold. A sense of dread filled the air. At its center stood a black altar. On it rested the final shard. But guarding it was the Shadow King. Tall, cloaked in darkness, with eyes like burning coals. His voice thundered, "The lantern will never be restored." Eris's heart pounded. "We will stop you," he said, surprising even himself. The Shadow King laughed. Darkness surged around him. The battle began. Kale struck with his sword. Leora unleashed blasts of light. Eris raised the shards. But the Shadow King's power was immense. He knocked Kale aside. He shattered Leora's staff. Eris fell to his knees. "You are too weak," the Shadow King sneered. But then Eris remembered Myra's whistle. He blew it with all his strength. A clear, pure note filled the valley. The stars above blazed brighter. Their light rained down. It poured into the shards. The shards fused together at last. The lantern of Evergreen was reborn. A brilliant flame ignited within it. Eris lifted it high. The light of harmony burst forth. The Shadow King screamed as the light consumed him. Darkness shattered. The valley bloomed with life. Flowers blossomed. Rivers sparkled. The night sky sang. Lyra, Kale, and Eris stood together, bathed in light. "You did it," Lyra whispered. Eris shook his head. "We did it." They returned to Evergreen Valley. Mira wept with joy. The people celebrated. The lantern was placed in the heart of the valley, where it would shine forever. Shadows would never again threaten their land. Eris, Lyra, and Kale became legends. But in their hearts, they remained friends bound by courage. On quiet nights, when the lantern's light danced across the valley, Eris would smile. For he knew that sometimes, the wildest stories are the truest. And sometimes, a curious heart can change the fate of the world.